And Chuck, she's going to be playing this spy something, I don't know.
Oh.
Throw a monkey wrench into Chuck and Sarah's relationship, I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah, she'd make a good, like, turncoat spy or something.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, she's evil. I don't like her.
Yeah.
But should be fun. Should be a really fun season.
Yeah. And, okay, now this is totally going to, expose my geek side as if, doing a podcast for Chuck doesn't. Robert Duncan McNeil is one of the supervising producers on Chuck, and he was Tom Paris in Star Trek Voyager.
Yes, he was, and I've seen him, and I swear I'm the only one who geeks out, because I love Star Trek Voyager, and I was like, oh, it's Tom Paris, oh my gosh, and I was like, for my own inner self, I was like, can I leave my tour and, like, go say hi? No, I have to play it cool, and, and it's so cool to see. He looks exactly the same. It's just Tom Paris,
That's
on one of my favorite shows. That
is
cool.
Awesome. Yeah, he was one of my favorites on that show too. And every time I see his name pop up on the screen, I'm like, oh, it's Tom Paris on Chuck, but not really, just behind the scenes. It just seems it's such appropriate for the geek pedigree of the show to have a Star Trek vet on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So now everyone who listens to the podcast is going to want to go take a tour of the Warner Brothers lot with you.
Well, they should totally come out and definitely take a look around our lot. They can ask for me. I am the best, but there are other qualified guides. So, yeah, if anyone wants to come out, just go to wbstudiotour.com and come on down. Weather's great.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun.
Because then it tells the network that, like, hey, people are watching Chuck. So, there you go.
So who have you not seen yet from the show?
I've seen pretty much everyone except Captain Awesome. I'm waiting for Ryan. I'm not leaving until I get to Ryan. So
the elusive Captain Awesome. He's probably hiding because he's always half clothed on the show, and he doesn't want to go out.
That's why I want to see him.
Priorities, man.
I know. One of these days I'll see him.
All right. Well, Emily, it was so nice talking with you and kind of getting the inside scoop on what happens on the lot.
No problem.
Having all these Chuck people just wandering around.
Now they have somewhere to go. Come to Warner Brothers. Come see us.
That's right. And ask for Emily.
Yes, and I do accept tips.
All right. Well, we'll be keeping in touch with Emily and bringing you more from the Warner Brothers lot. So stay tuned to Chuck versus the podcast. This is Mel signing off.
Well, I got to say, that was a cool interview. And, as much as I'm a fan of the show, it just never occurred to me that you can actually go and have a tour at Warner Brothers. Man, next time I'm in LA, I'm definitely going to do that. And who knows, maybe I'll even meet Emily. I hope we hear from her again, especially as Chuck shoots more and more episodes. And hopefully she has more little tidbits about meeting the cast. With these episodes, you'll notice that a lot of the info is on chucktv.net. But you'll find that there's a lot more info that you can dig deeper on chucktv.net and yvonnestrahovski.net.
Yes, so don't forget to check in often. Leave comments as often as you like. Don't forget to check into our forum and discuss some of the episodes there, what you like, what you don't like, what you think's going to happen. We're having a lot of fun in there. Business is starting to pick up.
And don't forget to check out www.chuckpodcast.com, and you can leave comments there as well.
And we want to thank everybody for your votes. Don't forget to vote for us at Podcast Alley.
You can see the link for that right in the AAC, or you can go to www.chuckpodcast.com and you get the links there too. So we want to thank everybody for listening. Next up, we've got spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, please turn off the podcast now. But thanks for joining us.
And don't forget that if you have any questions for the cast or crew that we're going to be seeing at Comic-Con in a couple of weeks, be sure to send those in so Liz and I can ask if we get the chance.
And don't forget to visit our chucktv.net forum and leave your comments and your speculations on your favorite episodes.
So thanks a lot for listening. Bye-bye. Welcome back. We actually have spoilers for episode 4, 5, and 6 from Chuck Season 2. Man, that takes us all the way up into, I think, November in terms of air times. That is pretty cool. Let's start with episode 4. Liz, what have you got for us?
Okay, well, first off, we don't have a working title for it yet, but it lays out that Heather, who is played by Nicole Richie, is a high school classmate of Sarah's. She happens to show up at the Orange, Sarah's new cover job, and reveals Sarah's real name while Chuck is watching. Stunned that he finally knows her real name, Chuck has a little fun with Sarah by almost, but not quite, blowing her cover. Chuck manages to get a little more background information on Sarah until he meets Heather's husband, played by Ben Savage, and he flashes on far more dangerous background information. The unassuming nerd, who is also a classmate of Sarah's, is more than he seems. Now, Sarah, Casey, and Chuck have to go undercover at Sarah's high school reunion to foil the sale of high-tech bomb plans to villainous Russians. Somehow, Chuck manages to look like a hero while Casey fumes and Sarah confronts demons from her past. Meanwhile, back at the Bymore, Lester instructs the employees in the art of friendly negotiations with customers. The results aren't quite what corporate had in mind. This episode is just going to be filled with so much fun. I can just imagine the emotional ups and downs that are just going to go along with this whole episode.
No kidding. It sounds like it's going to give Yvonne a lot of great material to work with.
Yeah, well, actually, both of them together, it sounds like they can have some great fun with that.
I wanted to point out something that someone on the ChuckTV.net forum pointed out, Jay Herb, in our spoilers and speculations thread, pointed out that there seems to be a parallel with these first episodes of Season 2 with the first few episodes of Season 4, and pointed out that episode 104, Chuck versus the Wookiee, is the one in which we find out Sarah's middle name. You remember there at the end, Chuck was asking her for anything true, like, what's your name? And then there's a knock on the door, and he goes to answer it, and she whispers that her middle name is Lisa. And then here in episode 4 of the second season, we actually find out her real first name.
I love our Chuck fans.
Deep thoughts.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked up on that if they hadn't started talking about it there in the forums. So keep up the good work, guys.
Very cool. And Mel, you've got some spoilers for episode 5 already.
I do, and this one has a tentative title. It's Chuck versus Tom Sawyer, and I think our more musically inclined fans are going to get that. It took me a while. It begins when we flash back to 1983, when a much younger Jeff has just won the Moto Industries Video Game Championship with his skill at missile command. Sporting a mullet and a mustache, our man Jeff has a pair of bikini-clad babes in his arms and a reporter asking him what's next. Back to present day at the Bymore, and there's Jeff working as a nerd herder. Also in present day, a crippling virus is sweeping through the Moto Industries computers. Chuck and Casey attempt to go in undercover as nerd herders, to find out what's going on, but are rebuffed by the snobbish Moto Industries engineers. Sarah tries her hand at it instead. Now, somehow, a gorgeous blonde who doesn't even know how to fix computers manages to gain access. They discover that terrorists have hijacked a dormant satellite and are planning to activate it and launch missiles, starting a nuclear war. The code to deactivate the satellite can be found on the final level of, you guessed it, Missile Command. Now Chuck must find a way to beat the game before the worst happens, but there's a final secret weapon that he'll need to succeed, music from a certain Canadian band. And if you put that with the title, you should be able to figure out which band that is. So, in other words, Josh and Zach have finally convinced the writers to give them a video game episode.
That is so funny. I can't wait to see the mullet.
I know. Yeah. Yep. And apparently, the script calls for Jeff to be wearing a members-only jacket. I mean, he's going full-on 1983.
Oh, yeah. That is going to be a lot of fun. And episode 6, which I think is going to be a massive one. We flash back to 2003, and a new member of the Bymore team who has just spent his break from work driving down to Stanford to tell his girlfriend he still loves her. But Jill tells Chuck it's over. She's dating Bryce Larkin now. Back in 2008, Chuck gets called in to help set up computers for a conference when who should arrive? Dr. Jill Roberts. We finally get to meet his ex-girlfriend, who is now turned scientist. Just as she's about to tell Chuck what he's wanted to hear for 5 years, Jill's boss shows up and whisks her away, but not before Chuck flashes on him in connection with bioweapons. Now, Team Bartowski has to figure out what's about to happen and stop a convention full of brilliant scientists from being the next test subjects for a virus. While Chuck plays the suave spy to get information from Jill, Sarah goes undercover as an Australian scientist, and Casey tries to keep the plan together. Man, that is going to be fun. I can't wait to meet Jill, and I can't wait to see Sarah going full-blown Australian. That is going to be a blast. Is anybody else just burning for more Chuck?
Yes. And it hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
The season hasn't even started yet, and I'm already just giddy with the anticipation of what they're going to be doing in these first few episodes.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to top the first season with season 2.
Sounds like it.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to see it, and it's coming right up in a couple of months.
Yep.
Well, thanks for listening, and we'll have another episode for you pretty soon, definitely by the end of the month, about Comic-Con.
Hooray! Well, just wanted to give my usual shout out to Vern and the boys. Let us know how you're doing. We'll talk to you soon.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.